They buried him under centuries of sand, thinking the war was over. But the desert remembers. The dust whispers his name. He wasn't a myth. He was a warning. The sand screamed as the storm tore across the dunes, hurling shards of glass like dust against Kael Vos's visor. He crouched behind a jagged ridge of rusted metal, once the hull of a forgotten war machine, and tried to steady his breathing. The map burned blue inside his neural HUD. Coordinates flickered erratically, as if the desert itself was trying to deceive him. But Kael knew this place wasn't trying to keep him out. It was guiding him in. Beneath his feet, the ground pulsed faintly. Not seismic activity. Not wind. A heartbeat. Kael tapped the interface on his forearm. Chronopulse reading stable. Something's down here. Something massive. His AI assistant, Vera, responded, her voice like a whisper in the storm. Buried text signature confirmed. Estimated depth, 68 meters. Shape, humanoid. Humanoid? Kael muttered. That doesn't make sense. Nothing about this planet does, Vera replied. Kael deployed the dig module, a hovering sphere within mechanical arms, and watched as it projected a shimmering excavation dome. Within seconds, the sand began to evaporate in neat spirals, revealing a black surface, obsidian metal etched with alien glyphs. Then a sound, not from above, but from within, a low rumble, like something waking up. The symbols lit up in red, then gold, then a blinding white. Kael stumbled backward. Vera, shut it down. I'm not the one turning it on, she said. The surface cracked. A massive hand, armored in deep crimson, broke through the sand. The Sentinel rose. 7 meters tall, forged of alloys that hadn't existed for millennia. Its design was brutal, yet elegant. Its helmet resembled the mask of an ancient warrior. Its chest bore the symbol Kael had seen in the prophecy chamber, a sun eclipsed by a hand. But what shocked Kael wasn't its appearance. It was its eyes. They glowed not with power, but sorrow. The Sentinel knelt, not in aggression, not in malfunction, in remembrance. Kael approached slowly, heart hammering in his chest. You were part of the war. The Sentinel turned its head toward him. Then it spoke, not with a mouth, but through frequency. A low resonance filled Kael's mind, forming words inside his thoughts. You were the mark of the witness. You're not the first. Kael flinched. What does that mean? The Sentinel placed one massive hand over its chest, then pointed to the horizon. The storm parted for a moment, revealing the silhouette of an ancient citadel far beyond the dunes, one Kael had only seen in simulations. The war is not over, the Sentinel said. It waits, beneath the twin suns. Vera's voice interrupted. Kael, we're receiving a signal. Old frequency, one we haven't heard since. The Taran Exodus, Kael finished. That name hadn't been spoken aloud in decades. The Sentinel looked skyward. They come, and they forget, again. Kael stepped back. This wasn't just a weapon. It was a memory. A soldier left behind, not to fight, but to remind. Why now? Kael asked, why wake now? The Sentinel didn't answer directly. Instead, its chest opened, revealing a glowing core, like a suspended galaxy. Inside was a relic, a golden prism inscribed with what looked like the same script from a prophecy chamber. Kael reached toward it, and the relic pulsed. He was no longer in the desert. In his mind, visions poured in. Burning skies. A city made of glass crumbling under orbital fire. Alien ships shaped like obsidian spears tearing through the stars. And in the middle of it all, the Sentinel, fighting, falling, rising again. Beside it, Kael. Not older, not younger, just the same. He gasped and fell back into his body. The desert roared around him. The Sentinel still knelt, as if waiting for judgment. Kael clutched the relic. This is a memory seed, a warning encoded in time. Vera responded, her voice quieter now. Not a warning, a key. Kael stood. He understood now. The prophecy wasn't just history. It was activation. From the distance, thunder echoed, not from the skies, but engines, dropships. Others had picked up the signal, and not all were friendly. Kael looked at the Sentinel. Will you fight with me? The giant stood slowly. It didn't answer. It didn't need to. To be continued. The desert winds howled again as the horizon shimmered with oncoming fire. Dropships, sleek and black, marked by the sigils of the Solar Ascendancy, pierced the clouds like blades falling from heaven. Kael stood beside the Sentinel, clutching the memory relic. The vision still burned in his skull. Shattered timelines, forgotten wars, his own face staring back at him from centuries that hadn't happened yet. "Vera," he said quietly. "Run threat analysis. 10 dropships. Fully armed. ETA for minutes," she replied. "Weapons hot. They're not here to talk." Kael turned to the Sentinel. "If you remember them, can you stop them?" The Sentinel raised its head slowly. Then, like a cathedral awakening, it stood to its full height and let out a deep sound. Not a roar, but a harmonic pulse that resonated across the dunes. From beneath the sand, massive shapes began to rise. It had not come alone. 5 other Sentinels, long dormant, emerged from the earth like gods returning from exile. Each bore unique markings. Each was a warrior from a different age. The desert had hidden them. Time had forgotten them. Now they remembered. "Kael," Vera said, almost in disbelief, "you've just awakened a buried legion." "They're not weapons," he replied. "They're witnesses." The dropships descended like vultures, opening fire with plasma rails and ionic spears. Kael dove for cover behind a fractured dune as the air boiled with kinetic energy. But the Sentinels didn't flinch. They moved with strange, slow grace, redirecting beams with their armor, absorbing blasts, shielding Kael's position. One Sentinel raised its arm. From its palm unfolded a spire of light, an ancient particle weapon. It fired once. A dropship vanished in a silent implosion of matter. Kael's calm crackled. A voice hissed through, familiar, venomous. "Vos," said Commander Rises of the Ascendancy. "Still chasing ghosts in the sand? You never could let go of the myths." Kael replied through gritted teeth. "Maybe because they're real. And they're angry." He shut the channel and ran. The memory relic in his hand pulsed again, this time pointing toward the distant Citadel the Sentinel had shown him earlier. He looked back. The Sentinels fought like a memory repeating itself. Too elegant, too fluid, as if this battle had already happened, or was always meant to. The ground began to quake, not from impact, from resonance. Vera's voice cracked. "Kael, the relic, it's sinking. It's drawing power from the Sentinel network." A golden line extended from the relic in his palm, like a thread pulling reality open. It pointed due east. "The Citadel," Kael whispered. "That's where the timeline fractures." Kael sprinted across the scorched sand, weaving between energy blasts and the shadows of titans locked in combat. As he approached the cliff ridge, he looked back. 2 Sentinels had fallen. One was still moving, its arm blown off, but its eyes burning defiantly. They weren't just soldiers. They were protectors, memories encoded in armor. He reached the cliff. Below lay a canyon etched in perfect geometric lines, as if sculpted not by nature but time itself. In its center stood the Citadel. Black stone, floating spires, architecture that defied Euclidean logic. It pulsed with paradox. As Kael stepped forward, the relic pulled him down the path. The further he walked, the more the air changed, denser, like time was folding inward. Then, he was somewhere else. He stood in a hall of mirrors. Each reflected not just himself, but versions of himself, older, younger, wearing uniforms he never remembered putting on. One version wore Ascendancy colors. Another, a crown. The relic in his hand floated upward, spinning. A voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. "Do you understand now, Kael Vos?" He turned. There stood a woman, or a projection of one. She wore robes woven from star matter, her face marked with the same eclipse sigil the Sentinel bore. Her voice was calm, but carried the weight of centuries. "You are not chosen. You are repeated, a pattern in the sand." Kael took a step forward. "Who are you?" "I am the last of the Timekeepers," she said. "My name is gone, but my purpose remains. To preserve what cannot be remembered. To protect what must not be lost." She gestured to the mirrors. "These are not futures. They are echoes, and they are breaking. Kael's voice wavered. What am I supposed to do? She placed her hand on his chest. You carry the witness's burden. You must restore the fracture, or the war will begin again and again and again until all that remains is dust. Suddenly, Kael was back on the ridge. The Citadel was crumbling. Time was collapsing in on itself. From the skies, the Ascendancy's flagship arrived. The Imperium, a kilometer-long engine of war. Vera screamed in his ear, Kael, we have 30 seconds. Either you complete the link, or history ends now. Kael turned to the last Sentinel standing. Its armor cracked, its core exposed. He held up the relic. I need your memory, he whispered. The Sentinel placed its hand over his. The relic ignited. A golden web spread across the canyon. Time surged. In an instant, Kael saw everything. The First War, the Exodus, the betrayal of the Ascendancy, the true origin of the Timekeepers, and the secret buried in him since birth. He was never meant to fight. He was meant to remember. Light burst from the relic, blinding the canyon. The warships vanished. The desert fell silent. Kael opened his eyes. The Citadel was gone. The Sentinels gone. Only the wind remained. In the sand, the relic dimmed. Its message complete. Vera's voice returned. Quiet. Kael, the timeline has stabilized. He fell to his knees, crying, not for loss, but for the memory of what could have been lost.